Bringing this discussion now, non-profit organization, the Tshenuwani Farisani Foundation, has called for political parties implicated in the VBS matter to repay the money. Former ANC Limpopo Treasurer Msiza, along with several others, had their pre-trial hearing postponed to the 14th of next month at the High Court in Pretoria. They're facing charges of fraud, corruption, money laundering and racketeering. Joining us now for ongoing reaction to the story is the Foundation CEO, Mathivha, who's with us via our video link on this Wednesday. Great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time. As I mentioned, part of the call being made by the organization you lead is for monies to be paid back. But for that to happen, people must first admit to have taken that money. And last I checked, I don't remember any kind of political representative saying that they're guilty.
Definitely. We're calling for ethical leadership. Look, the EFF says it's a supporter of the poor. It represents the poor. The SACP says it's the vanguard of the poorest of the poor. The ANC says it's a leader of society. Now, we're saying as Tshenuwani Farisani, these main organizations that claim to represent the poor of South Africa should do the honorable thing. Whether it's the individuals within the organizations who took the money, it doesn't matter. The people of South Africa wants to see the monies being paid. We're talking about more than 500 poor people here in Bembe, street vendors. I met a businessman yesterday who lost not less than 5 million. He doesn't even have a cent. He can't resuscitate his business now. And many others that people have seen on television, on radio, and on newspapers, crying for their monies, they're downtrodden, the Stokvels, the funeral committees, and family committees have lost thousands, if not millions of money. So these organizations, whether they're individuals or what, should just do the honorable thing and pay back the money.
I think what you've said, of course, will resonate with a lot of people, but allow me to take a step back. Can you just get us a better sense of the work you do as a foundation and who you represent in Limpopo?
The Tshenuwani Farisani Foundation has its patron as Dr. Tshenuwani Farisani. He's a veteran politician who has been detained for many, many years. He's been a colleague of people like Steve Biko. He has served the first parliament and he has been tortured so many times. He's a pastor, a reverend of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of South Africa. Now, this is a veteran who has fought for the rights of the people. Now, the Tshenuwani Farisani Foundation looks at the interest and has been campaigning for GBV here in this area to end. There's been a lot of crime in the area, and we're looking after the interest of the poorest of the poor in the region and assisting them in whatever way we can. By fundraising, we're meeting with some friends today who comes from overseas. We've been friends of Tshenuwani Farisani, Dr. Tshenuwani Farisani, when he was in exile in Europe and in the Americas. So that's what we do in short.
Fair enough. Thank you. That helps us really place your voice in this ongoing response to what's apparently taking place in Limpopo. And speaking about the work that the good doc was able to do over the years, you've been able to work with some of the senior leaders, ANC heavyweights in some instances, who are implicated in the scandal. And I wonder what your reflections are now that we're dealing with all of this information in the public domain, yes, which still needs to be ventilated in court to its conclusion. But as somebody who's worked alongside some of these people, I mean, again, what runs through your mind when you hear what they're accused of doing?
Most definitely. Our main call is about ethical leadership. If all of us claim to be leader of society, and we're taking this leaf from this premise that in the Vembe district of Limpopo, an organization like the ANC polled the highest votes ever than any other region in South Africa. More than 73% voted for the ANC. Now, it's those individuals within the ANC, maybe not the main organization as the ANC, but individuals belong to organizations. So when we talk In our language in Chivenda, meaning if a buck hides by the bush, we also hit the bush. So it means the ANC should do the honorable thing and punish those people who claim to have represented them and got the money to pay for a service provider. The EFF's chairperson, former chairperson, has said so many things on television, and they keep on changing, moving the goalpost, obviously. We don't know where they stand now, because in one stage they say we may, if it's proven, pay the money back if it's proven that indeed we got the 5 million, we got the 1 million gratification per month. The SACP in Limpopo has released a statement yesterday which talks about the VBS and again says, we will stand with the poor. Now, people have been killed in this region. There are two leaders of South African Municipal Workers Union who have been murdered because of VBS. They're standing trial at the High Court in here. Our patron goes there. He's an old man. He goes there every other trial and comes out crying when he listens to the callous murder movements that have been done. Up till today, we do not know who sent those hired guns to go and murder the leaders who were opposed to VBS.
Yeah. You know, we spend a lot of time on those who are alleged to have cooked the books, and I think, you know, there is a place for that. But I shudder at the thought of forgetting the victims of what took place at VBS. And I wonder if you can just help us distill through their plight today. I mean, at the beginning of our discussion, you spoke about an investor who you know had lost millions and now is left with nothing. What impact has this had on people who relied on VBS?
Look, the VBS, when it was started, the idea was noble. And yesterday when we met with the chairperson of the shareholders, Mr. Madambi Mugurawa, they were articulating this thing that when it started in the early 80s, it was a bank not like no other bank because of the rural place where it was founded. People who are subsistence farmers were able to get funds from it on a PTO, and they were able to farm. And that's why an area like Toyando, where there's no industry, a lot of people have developed. At that time, there was no NSFAS, and these people were able to send their children to school. That's why today we have a lot, almost 60% of the children in here has gone to school, up to tertiary education. But since the collapse of that bank, nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. The curator hasn't communicated with the shareholders as to what is it that is happening. We only heard on radio and on television, on the media, that they have since collected not less than 500 million. But we do not know what's happening with that money. Now, one other thing that these shareholders are demanding, or they're pleading with the government, is for the license to be restored. And obviously, it will take a lot of efforts and time to gain the confidence of the people to again restore the bank as it was, if it is possible. We are also happy that the Portfolio Committee at National Parliament seems to have taken this issue seriously, and they may come to this area and hold a hearing so that they can listen to the plight of these people. What is it that they want? It will be the first time that this happens in the 7th administration of government.
The scandal has also really shone a spotlight on the scale of the skullduggery that can take place in government and by extension in a lot of political circles. And if this institution were to be resuscitated, how confident are you that we might not see a repeat of what's taken place at some level? And I'm asking this question hoping that you'll rely on your experience, having it worked in government, especially in Limpopo.
Look, yes, there will be that not so confident of the things that might happen, but we have to trust ourselves as a black nation that we can do things. Yes, what has happened, the scale of the graft we have seen in the affidavit of Matodzi how he and his friends created a lot of pyramid organizations that would donate money and even pillage the whole bank out of nothing. If 250 million was saved, they would take out of that money and give it to friends and families. Yes, it might happen again, but there are rules and laws which the Reserve Bank can do. And Wamadambi have said it yesterday that the Reserve Bank did not assist the VBS Bank when it was about to collapse. They knew what was going on. They had an idea, but they didn't. Now, it means the law has to be applied. The law to its finest course has to be applied if you resuscitate a bank like that. There are banks that are existing. One of the banks that is run by Africans, 100% probably, the African bank is running very, very smoothly. It means it is possible for that bank to be resuscitated and run smoothly without all those happenings that took place in the past 10 years.
All right. We appreciate your weighing in on the story. Thanks very much indeed for your time, sir. Kenny Mathivha is the CEO of the Tshenuwani Farisani Foundation, who, as you've heard there, does a lot of work inside or in and around Limpopo, helping a number of communities. They've joined a growing list of people asking for that money to be returned, to be paid back, and in some ways for the institution, at least that represented VBS Bank, to also be resuscitated.